Hey guys, I'm Zizzle back again for the Week 5 main slate preview. So we're going to look at the games that are on Sunday afternoon, the 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Go position by position, review the players that I'm going to be targeting the most at each position, and then we'll go through and kind of build a sample lineup for you guys for cash games. So I'm on Fanduel. I just pulled up kind of one of the free tournaments, and I'm going to just enter a lineup here. So let's jump right into it. So let's start with the quarterback position. So to me, the quarterback position kind of comes down to 4 or 5 guys this week. It's Big Ben, Matt Ryan, Rivers, Stafford, and then Bortles maybe. Those are the main guys that I like. I think Ben and Matt Ryan are in a phenomenal spot. Both their defenses are bad that they're going up against. It's the highest total on the board, and they've both been just moving the ball through the air a lot, and I don't see that stopping this week. I think we're going to have a game where both teams can score 30 points, and tons of yards through the air, and just tons of opportunities for both these quarterbacks. So those are probably my 2 favorite guys. And then if we want to come down to a little bit cheaper, Rivers is in a great spot. He gets Oakland at home. They have a poor pass defense. We saw what Cleveland did to them last week. Games was in the 40s. So Rivers is going to have plenty of opportunity with the weapons that he has to rack up points. And then Stafford, same thing, kind of going up against a poor defense in the Packers at home. A game that's got a 51.5 total, so Vegas sees this game being high scoring. And he's got a lot of weapons, Galladay and Tate and Kerryon Johnson and Marvin Jones Jr. These guys have been performing well all year and giving Stafford some dangerous targets that defenses have to deal with. So I really like him. And then if we're kind of, gonna pay down, I'd probably go Bortles. Again, just in a good spot. He doesn't have Fournette. We see what he does when Leonard's out. He tends to put up a lot more fantasy points, and they throw the ball a lot more. Kansas City's really poor through the air defensively. So this is going to be another game where Jacksonville's probably going to have to score a little bit more than they usually would, going up against that high-powered offense, and they're going to rely on Bortles to move the football. So for $7,000, if you want to save up and be able to go, with some higher players at other positions, then I think Bortles is probably your best option there. So those are kind of the main targets. Some other guys, I don't think Dalton's I think Dalton's playable. Carr, Mariota, you could take a flyer on. And then Goff and Cousins and Newton probably aren't in bad spots either. If you wanted to go a little bit, different options than the one I mentioned. But I think the 4 key guys, Big Ben, Matt Ryan, Rivers, sorry about that, and Stafford, and then if we want to pay down, go to Bortles. So now we'll go over to running back. So running back, to me, I think obviously the top 4 guys at the top are always playable every week. I think they all are in pretty good spots again, and that's mostly just going to be the case for them all the time. They're getting the ball through the air, they're getting the ball on the ground, and they're just so involved in their offenses. Obviously, Gurley and Gordon are a notch above Saquon and McCaffrey. I think they're also in a better matchup. Seattle's been terrible. Gurley's been a monster. Don't see that stopping. Probably the best player running back, but obviously the most expensive. Gordon's the only other one that could probably rival him. He's been getting the ball a lot. Oakland's been terrible. It's probably going to be a shootout type game with the Chargers winning, so they're going to be, tend to move the ball more on the ground late into the game. We'll give him a couple extra rushes, and he's just in a great spot. If we move down, Connor, again, is part of that great game, so you can always go to him. He's been a little bit of a slump, so people may be off him a little bit, more than they were early in the year, where he was just kind of a mainstay in most main cash lineups. He's getting up there in price and hasn't been performing great the past couple weeks, especially on the ground. 12, 7, 17, even not a great week. So if you want more exposure to the game, go for it. David Johnson and Mixon are two other guys that I think are in good spots. David Johnson is only 7,600. If he starts picking things up, this is maybe the cheapest you're going to see him. They actually play a team that maybe is just as bad as them in the 49ers. And they're starting, it seems, to figure out that David Johnson is the best player on their team, and they need to start funneling the football through him. And maybe Josh Rosen kind of takes another step this week and starts being able to move the ball through the air a little bit and can open things up. So I don't mind Johnson this week. We're hoping for him to finally come out with a breakout game. This could be it. Mixon, Giovanni Bernard's now out this week, so he's going to get all the work. They're at home. They're favored by a lot. Their offense has been phenomenal through the first couple weeks of the season. And Miami, I think, was extremely overrated. They were 3-0, but weren't a 3-0 team. We saw what happened to them against New England last week. I think Cincinnati wins this game pretty convincingly, and Mixon is a large part of that, and he's a good play for me. If we move down to some cheaper options, I think Yeldon is someone, again, that's in play. We spoke about when we talked about Bortles, about how this is going to be a game where Jacksonville is going to have to score to keep up with Kansas City. They do have a great defense, but Kansas City's so high-powered that you got to feel they're going to score some points. They may not put up what they were doing before, and Jacksonville may be able to slow them down a bit, but Jacksonville's going to have to move the football and score some of themselves, and Yeldon is going to get the main, person at running back, and to get the most amount of carries there. He's going to be utilized in the passing game as well. And we like Bortles, and Bortles throws to Yeldon and likes to check down to the backs a little bit. So if this game ends up being a high-scoring affair, like I think it can be, then Yeldon is going to be someone who will have a lot of opportunity to put up some points. So Yeldon can be considered, and he's only 6,500, so you get to save some money there. And then when we move further down, the two guys that stick out to me is Kerryon Johnson and Aaron Jones. Just because they're where their price point is, they're starting to their teams, I think, are starting to figure out, okay, these are our best players at the position. They're both in committees, but they've shown that they're the best. They just haven't been able to get the carries. So, we look at Kerryon Johnson, 9 carries for 55 yards. The guy's averaging 6 yards a carry. If he can, and the week before that, though, he got 16 carries. If we can get 16 carries from him and he finds the end zone, he's going to pay off this price point for sure. Same thing with Aaron Jones. You look at him, comes back 6 for 42, almost 7 yards a carry. We look here at Buffalo, over 6 yards a carry. This guy is clearly the best talent as far as running the ball that Green Bay has. Jamal Williams has done nothing with his carries. Ty Montgomery is more of a factor in the passing game. So if Green Bay, again, figures out this is our guy and he can get into the 15, 16 carry range going up against Detroit, which is the worst defense against the rush so far this year, he could have a day. And at 6,100, he's definitely in play. Now, are we going to take a chance on him in cash? I'm not sure we're there yet, but the matchup and everything just kind of points to things moving in the direction that he's going to be the guy there. And if that's true, I could see him finally kind of getting the production that we think he deserves. And, for 6,100, he's the cheapest guy, out there that I think is playable. So if we want to, go heavier on wide receiver or get Big Ben in the lineup or things like that, you may need to go down to Jones to fit some of those other guys in. So that's about it from running back. Let's now move over to wide receiver. So wide receiver, Antonio Brown, I have in my season-long league, and he's just been killing me that he's had kind of all these good matchups, and Pittsburgh's been throwing the ball all the time, and he just hasn't had that big Antonio Brown day. He's had good days, he's been solid, he's been getting targeted, 16, 17, 9, 11, but just he hasn't got over 100 yards yet, and this is for Antonio Brown. We're paying $9,000 for him. When's it going to happen? So I think it might be this week. I think it has to be. If he doesn't do it this week, we're really going to start to be concerned. Atlanta's been getting killed through the past. They're banged up in their secondary. They're on third and fourth string corners and safeties. This game is going to be, like we spoke about when we're talking about Big Ben and Matt Ryan, very high scoring. So he's probably the best play on the board at the position, maybe the best play in general. Matchup wise and game script wise, we just need him to do it. So I love Antonio Brown, and let's just hope that he kind of finally gets his big day out and comes through for us. So really love Antonio Brown. Julio, same situation. He's in that monster game. Great matchup. He's going to get Joe Hayden a little bit, which is, Hayden's a solid corner. Not going to be overly scared about him. And Julio just hasn't gotten into the end zone yet. So that's been what we've been worried about with him, is he's been putting up numbers. He's on pace for 2,000 yards, but no touchdowns. So again, for him, it's like we're waiting for that monster Julio game of 180 and 2 touchdowns. This is the game to do it, but it's you're taking a little bit of a risk that, are they going to finally bust out and have that day? But like both of them, we move down to some other targets. I like Thielen. Thielen's just every week. I mean, look at this. It's just unbelievable. The targets, the catches, the yards. He's just a monster. They're throwing him the ball tons. Cousins is being forced to throw a lot more than they probably wanted to with Dalvin Cook being injured. And they got a solid matchup, I think. The Philly just hasn't been great on their pass defense. We saw what Mariota did to them. So, why not put Thielen in the lineup and just pretty much guarantee yourself like 15 to 20 points? This is what the guy's been doing every week. And Diggs is another one. Both these guys have been great. Now, look at this. The targets. I mean, they've been throwing the ball a shit ton. And they're both super talented. So, I like both of them. Some other guys. So this, like Keenan Allen, Juju, Devontae, I think all are in play this week. They're all in good matchups, high-scoring affairs. Juju is someone like, say you want to be off of Antonio Brown but still get tons of exposure to the passing game. You can go there, and he's been better than Antonio Brown. If we look, tons. Pretty much same amount of targets, more yards. So, maybe the torch is kind of being passed, and it's Juju's the number one guy in Pittsburgh, or maybe just all the attention's going to Antonio Brown and Juju. That's how it's going to be. Juju's going to be the guy that reaps the benefits of that. So we get to save $1,000 and come down and get maybe just as good of a player and just as good of a position. Maybe it makes sense to go down to Juju. So love Juju. If we keep going down the list, Golden Tate, again, especially if you play Stafford, I think that's a phenomenal little combination there. He's been awesome so far this year and gets to go up against that poor Green Bay secondary. Some other guys that are just jumping out at me. So Landry's been getting tons of targets, but I'm not sure that I love the matchup. Ridley's touchdown dependent, so for GPP, I like it. You want to just do like a full Atlanta-Pittsburgh stack like that. Not sure I'm going to go there on cash. Cooper Kupp's getting up in price a little bit for me. We keep going down here to some other targets. So, like Corey Davis has got a great matchup against Buffalo, and he's had some games where he's really been getting targeted a lot. Look at that. If he can build on that. Now, that game went to overtime, and a lot of things went in his favor, things like that, but we don't need that from him at 6,400. So I don't think he's bad play. Tyler Boyd, look at the targets in this guy. I mean, 15, 7, 9. He's becoming a guy that I think is going to be playable week in and week out. Cincinnati's been throwing the ball. They've been opening the offense up. And he's been getting the ball a lot. I mean, look at these last 2 weeks, and even 3 weeks. He's been really solid, and still 6,300, probably still a little cheap. So like Tyler Boyd, we keep coming down. Kenny Galladay, the price still low. Now it's getting a little higher, but still low, 6,300. And he's got a great matchup, really great matchup. It's against Green Bay. and what I think is going to be a high-scoring game. So I love him. John Brown's been producing every week. He's starting to get a little bit pricey, and I just don't know that maybe it's crazy for me to say this, that I trust him in cash, even though he's doing it every week. But and getting the targets, maybe the more that I look at this, maybe he is. With those targets, it's just like they seem like they like the big play with him, and I'm a little bit reliant on that for my liking, but they're throwing him the ball. They're giving him opportunity. And then Geronimo, I would love to play, but we're not sure about if he's going to suit up. I mean, he's still hoping to play. If he does, for 5,700, love him. Really, really like him a lot in this game. Looks like Cobb's going to miss another game. Yeah, he's been ruled out with the hamstring. So Geronimo takes over the number 2 spot. So for that price, love him. Dede and Keelan Cole, we talked about Bortles. The question is just which one is it going to be? It seems like they've been taking turns every week, and we don't know really if one is the number 1 or one's the number 2. It's kind of like they're both number 2s, and then one week Dede has the game, one week Keelan, so you'd kind of be guessing there. But for the price point, not bad. And that's about it for me at the wide receiver position. So let's go now to tight end. Tight end's kind of simple for me. I'm not going to go Kelsey in that matchup. Ertz I really like, but in PPR, I like him more on Draftkings than I do on Fanduel because of the PPR. But he's getting tons of targets and yards. So I think Ertz is probably the best play at tight end, but you'd have to pay up for him. And I'm not a big fan of paying up at tight end. So for me, what I'm doing is just throwing in Vance McDonald in most of my lineups. It gives me more exposure to that Atlanta-Pittsburgh game. I think he's the number 1 tight end if we're talking about catching the ball for them. Now, they have Jesse James up here at 5,200. That seems crazy to me. I think we're seeing that Vance is the guy. Jesse was a guy early because Vance was coming back from an injury. And we've seen the last 2 weeks that Vance has been getting more targets through the air. I mean, you look here, 5 targets. And we look at Jesse James, and he's got 1 and 1. So I don't know what the deal is here with FanDuel. They screwed up on that one. They should be flip-flopped, but we'll take advantage of it. So I think that's just kind of where I'm going. If I'm not going to pay up, I'm just going to go with Vance. I don't see any of these other guys being better plays, and they're all more expensive. So that's kind of where my head is at tight end. Defense, again, the Rams have a great spot, but are you going to pay up? I don't think so. Carolina's not a bad play. They get the Giants at home, but 4,400. Again, if you have the extra money, sure. But to me, it's pretty simple. It's going to be the Titans. Keep going back to that well against Buffalo, and they're only 3,900. They've been really getting after the quarterback. They've been getting sacks the last couple of weeks, like 4-3-4. So they got a great pass rush, and great pass rush going up against a rookie quarterback who struggled. And we saw what he did against Green Bay last week. Who, if you look at their defense, look at the sacks, 7 sacks. Green Bay doesn't have even close to the pass rush that the Tennessee Titans have. And if they could get 7, Tennessee is going to be causing havoc all day for Josh Allen, getting to him. And that's going to put him in position to then throw picks and fumbles and etc. So I'm just pretty much locking them in there on as far as defense goes. So, if another one for me, Denver. I don't hate that one either. Against Darnold, they are great at getting to the passer as well. And a quarterback who's prone to turn the football over and going to get a lot of pressure. I think that they're like kind of something that not a lot of people are going to be on, and maybe more of a GPP play, but Denver is solid. So All right, so let's start now to build out the lineups. We already added the Titans. Let's do McDonald because we love Vance, so we'll throw Vance McDonald in there as well. That leaves us 7,300 per position, which is a lot of money. Let's come here. Let's start with, let's see. I do really like Ben, and he's probably my favorite target at quarterback. But I'm going to try maybe to pay down a little bit. Let's see what we can get if we do Stafford, how that opens things up for us. So we come to running back. I would like a Melvin Gordon or a Gurley. Let's throw Melvin Gordon in. We'll come back for the second. We'll go wide receiver. I really would love Antonio Brown. Let's do Antonio Brown. We have Stafford, so let's link him up with another guy that we like that's a little cheaper. Let's do Kenny Galladay. Another wide receivers that we liked. Obviously, we love Juju, but I don't want to have. I'm not going to go both there. You can go Tyler Boyd. You can go Geronimo. I mean, if Geronimo is going to be in, and what we see here, he hasn't practiced yet this week, but he's still hoping to play. If he's playing, we'll throw him in. I'm just not sure that he's gonna. With the concussions are serious. So we'll probably find out later today. So let's pretend he doesn't play. If he did, things would get really easy for us. But let's say he doesn't play. So if he doesn't play, this is not bad either. I didn't mention him, but Sanu, just to get more and more of that Pittsburgh-Atlanta game. But let's come up and let's go with Tyler Boyd. Let's throw Tyler Boyd and see what that does for us. 6,800. So if we go to running back, we said we liked Yeldon, Kerryon Jones. Let's do Yeldon. And that would then bring us to 7,100. We could then come up and get Joe Mixon in the lineup. So I think that that's pretty solid. We get Stafford, Gordon, Yeldon, Brown, Galladay, Boyd, Vance McDonald, Joe Mixon, and the Titans. Really like that lineup. I think that we said Stafford is one of the strongest quarterbacks. We loved Gordon and Antonio Brown. We get to fit both of them in their lineup. We get to stack with Galladay and Stafford. And then we just get some really strong value plays, which we see in Boyd, Vance McDonald, and Mixon just going to get all that work. So I think that this is a really strong cash lineup, and pretty happy with. I think that would work out pretty well this weekend. But obviously, that news around Geronimo is big. So if we come down and if we can get him. Allison. Okay, I don't know why it's not coming up. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Geronimo Allison. That would then give us 600. We need 7,700. Then we can get up to David Johnson. It would allow us to get up to. So you could do that. And that's not a bad situation. So there you go. That's kind of some options for building the lineup and just my overall thoughts on who I like at the different positions. You can mix and match and make a bunch of different combinations. I made one earlier today where I actually was able to fit Ben and Juju, and I think a Melvin Gordon in there as well, and still came out with a pretty good lineup. Just and using all the players that I mentioned today. So if you just, I think that the player pool that I outlined should put you in pretty good shape to cash this week in your cash game lineups. So that'll do it for this video. Good luck to all you guys this weekend. Like the video. Please subscribe if you're enjoying the content. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.